Hi guys, this is going to be another tea video, and just before I start, there was a comment on my first tea related video by somebody called Madcat473, and she didn't believe that I was actually drinking tea, which I was at that point, and I cleared it up by replying to that comment. I do have some more tea with me, and I'm going to prove to you that I have tea this time. And I actually have a whole teapot. No mug, no cup, just a teapot and a dream. So I'm going to show you now that there is definitely tea in here, so that I shan't be accused of sipping on a bare cup. You see there's tea in here. No, okay, so that is that. And it is yummy yummy tea. So, in my last tea video I covered black teas and such. Now I'm going to cover some green teas and, well, basically teas that aren't black. And I will start off with green tea. Green tea is pretty good, but you've got to be careful with it. I find that typical strength green tea is a little bit much, because you've got to be very careful on the brewing time. If you brew it just a little bit over, then it can go bitter pretty quickly. So I recommend, if you don't like that happening, go for the Twinings Light and Delicate green tea, as opposed to their standard, is pretty good for that. You can brew that for a little while and it won't go bitter almost at all, actually. It's a pretty good one. But my favourite green tea is by a company called Teapigs, which are fabulous, and the green tea is really, really floral and very, very fruity, and they say themselves on the packet, it's the green tea for people who don't like green tea, because it is so light and delicate that you can brew it forever and it won't get nasty. So that's kind of what puts a lot of people off green tea, is I don't like it, it's bitter, it tastes of weird stuff. But yeah, green teas are kind of odd in the way that they can be drunk. I mean, there's one tea that I've got, it's a Sencha Fukuya green tea. Now, when I got that tea and started to drink it, I didn't drink it kind of boiling hot, but I still drank it, pretty hot, and it was foul. I can tell you, I nearly heaved. It was a bit grim. But I went back 45 minutes later and took another sip when it was stone cold, and it was great. So now if I ever want that tea, I drink it cold, and I normally drink it in the summer, which is pretty nice. Green tea is good with lemon, I can tell you that now. Squeeze of lemon or orange, if you want to put a slice of orange in there, that's quite nice. Anything really, any fruit that you particularly like, you can just, put a slice in and you can put it to your own taste, which is lovely. What other teas can I talk about in this section? White tea. White tea is even purer than green tea. It's more antioxidants, it's better for you, and that is lovely. I've got that in loose form, and I've also got bags of it, green tea with a hint of pomegranate. That is really good. I do quite like that. White tea is a good one. Very, very light, delicate flavour. Very, very slight. And yeah. Okay, let's move on to some others. Peppermint tea. Peppermint tea is really good for a bad stomach. If you're kind of just feeling a little bit nauseous, your stomach's a little bit off, that kind of thing, drink a mug of peppermint tea, and likelihood is you'll probably feel better. It is quite a nice one to do. Also, just on the peppermint theme, I always find that if I'm feeling nauseous or something and I don't have peppermint tea around, like if I go back to uni and I don't take my teas with me, um, chewing gum and polo mints work just as well, but I find tea very comforting. So, if I get the chance, I will brew the tea to drink, rather than just have a chewing gum or a mint. What else is good? Chamomile. Chamomile is fabulous for when you're just kind of winding down in the evening. It's a nice, calm, inducing tea to have. So I quite like that one. There's so many I could go on about. I could even go on and say kind of lavender tea on its own. I know I touched on it about putting it in Earl Grey, which is great, by the way. And the best thing about using your tea like an alchemy kit is that you can experiment. And this wasn't entirely by me, but it took me a while to figure out what was in this tea. So when I went to Australia, I had a tarot reading done, and it was done by a new age shop that I'd been to several times over the course of my stay in Melbourne. Sorry, I had to adjust myself, my back was killing. And so I often got chatting with the people in there, and when I was waiting for my reading, the lady who was in the shop asked, if I wanted a drink while I was waiting. And me being me, I said, have you got a tea that I can have? And she had a range, so I said, oh, just surprise me. And she came back, she said, it's peppermint, no, yes, peppermint with something. And I couldn't remember what the something was, it gone from my mind. But I remember it being absolutely fantastic. It was a fabulous, fabulous drink. And I just couldn't remember for the life of me what the hell was in it. So when I got back home with all my tea, I decided to have a little go at finding out what this other ingredient was. And I knew it wasn't going to take forever. And eventually I found it. And it is peppermint tea with a little bit, just a smidgen of jasmine. And it's bloody nice. I can tell you that. That's what's in here. I put in a teapot this size, I had 2 tea bags of peppermint, which I put in and brewed, then took out when the tea was brewed enough. But I also strained the water through some jasmine leaves, which gives it just a nice little lace edge. And it's beautiful. I recommend anybody to try it. It just gives it that third dimension, really. So that's a good one. And I think that's kind of, well, I'll briefly mention fruit teas. I don't really drink a lot of fruit tea. Lemon, ginger, stuff like that, hibiscus is pretty nice. But I tend to stay away from like your typical raspberry and elderflower, those kind of things, strawberry teas, because when you pour them and they're in the tea bags, they're bright red, and I don't really like them. They don't seem strong enough to me, and I just end up putting a ton of sugar in it, which seems, well, it's pretty bad for you, to be honest, and I still don't particularly enjoy them. So when I was expanding my tea collection, I was looking around the tea shop that I used to go to regularly, which is in my hometown, and there was a strawberry tea there, and I had a look at it, and I was a little bit wary, but it is a black tea with the strawberry kind of laced in it, so it's not overbearing, and you do get the genuine taste of actual strawberry. It's a lot purer, it's a lot nicer. And I drink that a lot in the summer as well, with fancy cups. You have to drink that kind of tea with fancy cups. Oh my god. So, yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there because there isn't a great deal more to talk about. If anybody has any questions about tea, then they are more than welcome to ask me. Or if you've got your own things you want to talk about, your own kind of concoctions putting together, then that's great. Let me know. And we can swap tea stories, which will be lovely. Okay, thanks. See you guys.